Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builders Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Major Hit 45SL1. This is a template for function holes for Schlage L series locks, L9000 series, not all L series. The L400 series would not be appropriate. This would not be used for that. L9000 series. This is going to clamp on. This is going to screw onto your Hit 45 system, your modular clamp. Overall height about 8 inch. Overall width about 4 3/4. Thickness is probably 3/8. No, it's 1/2 inch. Nice blue anodized finish. Hardened drill bushing inserts for 1/4 inch, 3/8, and a 1/16 drill is what you're going to need for this material. I know that from the installation instructions, which are included. Okay, we're going to go over that later in the video. You'll get an Allen wrench and then 4 machine screws for attaching this to your Hit 45. You'll only need 3 screws for this, and it's not light at all. Let me tell you what the weight of this is. The weight of the 45SL is 2.04 pounds, so it is indeed quite heavy. What are you going to use this for? Let's talk about that right now.
If you are enjoying this video, please click thumbs up or like, and also please consider subscribing to our channel. Let's move on to the rest of the video.
Well, you're going to use this when you're drilling function holes in a door for a Schlage L9000 series lock. This is going to give you all the function holes necessary for everything. So, spindle hole is always this. Your mounting through bolt holes are always these. Your cylinder, your thumb turn with the 2 little screws for the thumb turn. Escutcheon through bolts are here and here. Okay. The orientation of what side of the door is what side of the door is dependent on looking at the template. And based on the swing of the door, you'll know whether or not this is the side you're drilling on based on what side of the opening you're standing on based on the swing of that door, or this side. You're gonna drill on both almost always. You could have an exit trim where you're only going to drill on one side, but that's, you know, a 90-25 function, I'm guessing. I don't know what it really is. But you're usually going to drill on both sides. Would you have 1 or 2 of these? I guess that would depend on, obviously, budget. These aren't inexpensive, but they are investment quality tools. It would also depend on how much work you want to get done. You know, do you want to remove this every single time and move it to the other side of the template every single time? If you're doing a large volume of work, and they're always all the same, I had it upside down, and they're always all the same functions. Let's say it's not uncommon for a customer to call me on a Thursday and say, all the wood doors arrived and they don't have cylinder holes in them, and there are 90 doors, and we're going to be here Saturday and Sunday to do these. And I says, whoa, you're going to get this done on Saturday for sure. You only have 90. Well, what do you mean? I've got to measure all of these. No. Get yourself a template. Put masking tape on all the holes you don't need. You'll have the 45ML1, which we'll look at. You'll center that right onto the pocket that's already created, and you're just going to have at it. A 45, a Hit-45, a Hit-45ML1, 2 of the Hit 45SL1s, and now you can really rock through that really quick. You could have one person going through drilling the 1/4 inch hole on either side of on the appropriate side of the door. Either side, if they're double cylinder for some weird reason, they could be. The other person comes behind with the 1 1/4 inch hole saw, and you can rip through those really quick. It'll take longer to pick the door up and move it and get it into a stand than it's really worth. You want to get done and even faster, duplicate the entire setup, and you'll tear through the work. Because what you're doing is you're eliminating the possibility for error. You are ritualizing the process. You don't have to measure anything. The only thing you have to know is what side of the door gets the cylinder. The other call that I've gotten, we got all the doors to the job site, there's 90 of them, and all the cylinders are on the wrong side of the door. Do you have 90 dummy cylinders? You know, that's a bad, you know, we don't have time to get new doors, we got to just put dummy cylinders in there. So option there is dummy cylinders or escutcheon trim. Sometimes that would work as well. No matter what, it's an expensive problem to fix. If you are in that scenario where you've got 90 doors and they have to be done for Monday because the painter's coming Monday, hardware's got to be, doors have to be prepped, ready for paint. The cost of duplicating the set of tools is quite tiny compared to time. I just got an invoice from an electrician and they're billing at $236 an hour. A journeyman carpenter who's qualified to do builder's hardware function holes, he's going to be akin to that sort of cost per hour. Templates they're just too inexpensive to skimp on, in my opinion. I also sell lock hardware templates, so be mindful of that. Really great quality product. Let's switch to the screen view and let's go through all of the supporting documentation. If you've not hit subscribe yet, we would very much appreciate if you did, and hopefully you're enjoying this video. Now, let's get back to it. Let's take a look at this template a little bit closer. Here's the factory provided image. Let's look at our images first. There's the packaging. Hit 45SL1. A and A, that's going to be through bolt holes for escutcheon trim, cylinders, thumb turns, spindles, rows, mounting posts, and just some images showing close-up views of those bushings. The F holes would be for the mounting holes for surface-mounted thumb turns. Showing the engraving on the face of the template. The back side of the template, it's the same thing, just symmetrically opposite. And then your installation instructions that come with it. And back here are where the screw package is. Inside of this screw package is going to be your Allen wrench and the 4 machine screws that are used to attach it to, well, there's 4 of them in there, but the machine screw is used to attach it to the chassis. Okay, so here are our images, installation instructions. Now, let's take a look at the product itself. Mortise lock template for installing Schlage L locks. Schlage used to have a K-lock back in the 80s and before. They had a mortise lock that was their K-lock. It was the predecessor. It was the predecessor of the L-lock. I can't speak as to how much compatibility you're going to end up finding between a K-lock and a L-lock, but once in a while, someone calls you with a K-lock. Okay, all holes needed for cylinders, posts, spindles, etc. are located with hardened drill bushings. Larger holes are first located and drilled with a 1/4-inch diameter hole. All hole locations on the template are identified for use. Requires the HIT 45 with the HIT 45 ML1 locator. We're going to go through that. This is really very, very handy that it's here because you don't just use this alone. I suppose you could if you were going to clamp it to your door. But the HIT 45 system, the HIT system is what this is part of. When you buy one, we'll ship you one. Product brochure. This is going to be a bit of an overview of the HIT 45 system. Obviously what's happening here is your template is going to attach right to the outside edge on either side. And it's obviously going to look like this when all is said and done. If you want to buy 2 of them, awesome. If you don't, you know what you've got to do. You've got to move that to the other side. Buying 2 of them, yeah, that sort of money, you'd have to have a lot of volume in my experience, and you would have a requirement to do them all rather quickly as well. I wouldn't discourage you from having 2 because it will help not only speed up time, but the way that we would do it, not necessarily me all the time, but I would set this up for a worker, and I would take masking tape and block off the holes that are not to be touched. And the ones that are to be touched, I mean, you're drilling a 1/4 inch hole through these holes, so you're good. You're not going to drill anything wrong using the template. But you could write on there 1.25" for the cylinder. 7/16 for the thumb turn. I'm not sure what it is. We'll look at the template. 5/8 for the spindle, whatever it is. And I would block off, like for escutcheon, you'll never use this one. Pardon me, for sectional trim, you won't use this, you won't use this. You're going to want to block those off with masking tape. That's how I would do it. That's how I've done it. Nice little clamp system. We keep that 45 in stock. What's going to follow is stuff that doesn't necessarily apply. These router guides. You're not doing any routing with this template. There are a series of complete kits that will allow you to get everything in a single giant tackle box to do a particular series of locks. And then what comes next are different templates that you can bolt onto your HIT 45 for different manufacturers. So, Arrow, Best, Baldwin. Yeah, Baldwin, that looks gnarly. It really isn't. And it's gnarly looking because of how many different trim they have. But just really great stuff. Really, really great stuff. Baldwin, Corbin Russwin, Falcon, Marks. The 45ML1 Mortise Lock Positioning Fixture. 2-piece positioning fixture used when installing mortise locks. Using this tool, we'll put the HIT 45 clamp in the correct location and will assure accurate installations every time. HIT 45 ML1 can be used with any of these templates as shown. So basically what this allows you to do, with this attached to the mortise pocket edge, that the government 86 or the G86 pocket you've created, when this is attached to the door, this is going to be attached to the edge of the HIT 45 here, and that post is going to force alignment of what you're doing. Okay, PDQ, Sargent, Schlage, the SL1 we're dealing with, Unican series of solitaire locks, Yale, and then other piece parts that may or may not apply to this. Then there's the installation instructions. So let's take a look at the installation instructions right here. So when we fire up the installation instructions, this is going to be an epic document because it goes over the entire aspect of the HIT 45 platform and its approach to prepping doors for function holes. And I have a video on the HIT 45. I would encourage you to watch it, to go through it. This video is on the face templates only. When attaching the Mortise Lock template to the clamp, be sure the center hole of the template is fastened to the center hole of the clamp. That's really important because you need to be able to space that based on where you're going to be locating your with your 45 ML1. You could install this potentially in the wrong holes and then it's not at the right height. Always do a reality check is what I've always not forced myself, it just was common sense. I always did a reality check, even when I was convinced that there was no reason to double check. Measure twice, cut once. So if you're new to this system, I would recommend a deep dive into it. If you're not, and you're buying, this client bought literally one 45SL1, they clearly have the rest of the tools necessary. That shows you how to get going on it. Working from one side of the door, drill all holes that are required for the lock function you are drilling. Drill holes that go through the door halfway only. The back of this manual will identify hole locations and sizes. All large holes to be piloted with a 1/4 inch drill bit and enlarged with a hole saw once the clamp is removed. So really what the role is of the HIT 45 platform is getting those holes initially in the right location. If you get that right, then the rest of the installation is elementary. If you get this wrong, it can take a 15-minute job and turn it into a 45-minute job. Because you're ovalizing holes, you're making hardware fit where it shouldn't fit. This is a really great example of everything that you're going to see with escutcheon trim. A cylinder, through bolt holes, spindle hole. Yeah, beautiful. It's a very inexpensive way to do extremely accurate function holes. compared to the alternative of getting them wrong or spending a whole lot more money on a tool that's really not meant to do it exclusively, like a CNC machine. Now, what happens? The balance here. I'm scrolling through the different templates. I'm going to get to the 45SL1. Yeah, because what they'll do here is they'll tell us your A and A are for escutcheon, as I said. Your B is for mortise cylinders. That can be on either side. You can have a double cylinder. C would be thumb turns, or maybe emergency occupancy indicators, emergency releases. D would be for mounting posts for the through bolt holes. E is your spindle. And F would be for your thumb turn. That's going to take a tiny little 1/16 of an inch. Everything else here is a 1/4 inch hole. Actually, it's not. The D is a 3/8 hole. So you're going to need a 1/4, you're going to need a 1/16, a 1/4, and 3/8 for sure. You're going to need an 1 1/4 hole saw. You're going to need a 5/8 hole saw, possibly. So you'll need all of these parts in your system. All of those different cutting sizes. And then you may not have noticed, but it seems to be alphabetical. So now what I'd like to do is jump over and take a look at a Schlage template. Actually look at what an L series template looks like. Well, it's an L9000 series. So we're going to pull up the manufacturer's page in my site. And we're going to Control F for template. Master template index. Yeah. Okay, so this is AL locks. Let's take a look at an L9080. Actually, no. Let's go bigger than that. L9453 would be a better template to look at. So we got that document pulled up and got down into the L series. Never did find my L9456 or 53. Doesn't matter. So this is a metal door template. Here's a wood door template. Yeah, right here. So once you become familiar with what a Schlage template looks like, you automatically know the function, or what function it could be, based on seeing it. There's just a spindle hole, which is 1 inch, and then 3/8 over here. This is a passage, nothing else. You know, it's got trim on both sides. As you continue to scroll through the templates, you can see, well, now here's a passage that has escutcheon trim. Those are those, I think they were A. These holes were marked A. Here is an escutcheon trim with a thumb turn. So that could be a privacy set. Here is a deadbolt. You're going to have a... this could be a classroom function deadbolt, perhaps. Cylinders on both sides with a thumb turn on the inside. For this 460, 462, 463, 464. So this is interesting. You won't have any holes down here. So it's really handy to be able to look at templates because it will help you determine what's going on. This could be a privacy that has an occupancy indicator on the outside. That's why you would have that hole on the opposite side as well. And you are always going to need to realize the way in which the holes are oriented, because they're not vertical. You'll have to think about that. This is a left-hand door shown. They're showing a left-hand door. This is the inside of a left-hand door. So if the bathroom door was a left hand, this is the side of the door that you are standing on. That is the lavatory side of the opening. Same thing, function holes. Escutcheon trim. Okay, here's a good one. Here is a 53, 9453 escutcheon. This is almost everything you could have. Well, it pretty much is. Escutcheons, cylinder on the outside, through bolt and spindles, thumb turn on the inside. This would be a typical entrance function with an escutcheon trim, is what this is. I think you get the point of looking at what you're dealing with. And what happens is Some manufacturers, and Sargent is a great example of it, here, will give you a template for multiple functions, and then they're going to give you a table that tells you, drill these holes. For a 460, drill holes 1 and 3. You don't drill hole 2. Okay, let's look at a Sargent 8200 series template, because sooner or later you'll bump into a Sargent template, in my opinion. Mortise locks, 8200. Well, escutcheon trims. Let's look at this one. It's not what I wanted. In templates? Yeah. Mortise lock, escutcheons, rose trim. Yeah. Here we go. So all the holes are marked. And this table up here tells you 82 and then what function it is, 1 through 11. And you know, if you're going to be doing a job where you're doing lots of them all in the same function, having yellow highlighters in the shop is something that is typical and common. Before we would usually send work out to the shop, we would basically print the template off and highlight everything. I want this here, I want this here, I want this here. That's what we're doing. In short of creating a CNC program and sending the program file name out to the shop. This is how you do it. This is a great example of many templates. Sargent is one of them. Yale may be like this as well. Corbin Russwin may be like this as well. Now, let's get towards wrapping up this video. There's a link below this video as seen here to the manufacturer's page. And from here, you can pull up not only all of the major products that we sell by means of this horizontal navigation, but also a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. And I would recommend to dive into the full product catalog because it will show you all things major related. The lock templates are about 2/3 of the way back through the catalog, or maybe about halfway is where you're going to get. Hit 45, as you can see, and as you scroll through, you're going to find lots of templates for doing different lock preparations. In fact, you could very likely find more than one way to do a lock prep in here. Okay. Just scrolling through. Flush bolt, lock edge templates. If you do any aluminum storefront, this could be really good equipment for you to have, because you'll cut that with a carbide tipped router, bit in a router. Hit 45 as we've scrolled through previously. Here are the Hit 66. You can use this to make a mortise pocket in the door. The Hit 45 is what we had been looking at, but you can also do function holes in the Hit 66 platform. Hit 66-280. Tempered for Schley. Oh, that's not what we want. That's AD locks. Strikes. Apparently it's just the Hit 45 for function holes on a Schley. Flush bolt. This would be for prepping cabinets, drawers, cabinet drawers for cabinet locks. Ways to do cylindrical lock preps: 2 3/8, 2 3/4, 5-inch back set. Probably 3 3/4 is in here as well for a back set. You'll see those in hospital push-pull latches. Yeah, the Hit 55 will give you all 5 of those back sets. 2 3/8, 2 3/4, 3 3/4, and 5-inch. 5-inch, very common in 1960s construction in suburbs of Chicago with back sets on locks. 2 3/8, obviously residential. 3 3/4, hospital back sets for push-pull latches, as I said. 2 3/4 for commercial. So if you're not familiar with Major, it would be well worth your time to dive into this. First half of the catalog is locksmithing tools, accessories, templates, installation aids, security hardware, things of that nature. Let's wrap up this video on camera.
If you've made it this far into this video, you must be determined to see it through to the end, and we appreciate your hanging in there with us and watching this entire video. It means a lot. It takes a lot of work to create these videos in the sense that, you know, it's time taken away from doing other things. However, the advantage for me personally of creating these videos is the fact that it does allow myself to either learn about something new, to reacquaint myself with something, or to reinforce what I believe that I already know. Any comments that you might leave down below would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
In conclusion, if you've got a special project that you need to prep for, by all means dive into their catalog and by all means reach out to us. I'm reasonably familiar with the entire line in terms of how it all fits together. I have years of experience actually drilling the material. Wood, steel, stainless, fiberglass, all sorts of doors, and an understanding of what function holes look like. You know, I've got customers of mine that, you know, I supply doors and frames to, and sooner or later they're going to remodel their house. Sooner or later it's going to happen. And sooner or later they're going to ask for me to come and prep the mortise lock pocket for the new Baldwin mortise lock, because their carpenter can't be trusted to do it. And, you know, I have always thought to myself that person shouldn't use the term or the descriptor carpenter. But the bottom line is it is technical. It requires, you know, tongue-in-cheek, it requires the ability to correctly interpret a template. It's not easy, and you don't want to make mistakes. If you sell locks, you become automatically more familiar with it because you're forced to troubleshoot problems. Oh, this is what that does. Oh, this is what that does, because someone's asking you what it does. But if I can't answer it, I can always tap the shoulder of the good people at Major who very much understand the product line. In fact, as they said to me, a gentleman there said to me, you know, you don't give a guy who with an engineering background and many years of in-the-field installation experience the idea of building a product catalog, and that's what happened. You know, these fellows at Major, they understand the problem, they understand the job that needs to be done, and they can then craft an approach to doing that using the least difficult path forward. So they're really good people over there. Any questions on the 45SL1 or any other Major product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.
Again, thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up, please subscribe, and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you. Thanks to our clients, Architectural Builder Supply is building an additional facility, and what follows is not only a look at the acreage that we're building the facility on, but also first the architectural renderings as they exist, or at least the architectural plans as they exist at this time. Thank you very much. Let's take a look. All right, let's take a look at the architecturals as they exist at this moment, or at least it wouldn't be proper to call these architecturals, but it would be proper to call them renderings in the sense of they're conceptual drawings, they're not renderings. So the entire space is going to look like this in terms of a site rendering. This will be a 22,000 square foot building, of which will have specific purpose areas. There'll be a workshop down here. This is a few thousand square feet that will be likely woodworking, metalworking, CNC, things of that nature. This will be an office area here, a private office area. This will be Architectural Builders Supply expanded storage area where we will be able to do fulfillment. The entire space in the center is going to be all of the volume, as I call it. Large components will be able to be stored in stock there. Machinery that's too large to fit otherwise may be put out here. Specific facility rooms, and then some recreation over here. let's take a look at that drone footage, and thank you very much for taking a look.